Mr. Schembri, thanks for being with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Last fall, the head of the Bank of Canada joined us here on APTN News to say that Canada's central bank would make its decisions with reconciliation in mind. Many people don't know what the Bank of Canada even does, so can you tell us what would the central bank's reconciliation mean to your average Indigenous person?
Well, reconciliation is part of the call to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The call to action number 292 speaks to economic reconciliation, and that's really what we're working towards, is developing a reconciliation action plan over the next 2 years. And what it means for us is for us to sort of try to address some of the barriers that we see to economic inclusion amongst Indigenous communities. This includes lack of access to credit and capital, lack of capacity, whether it's capacity in terms of education or infrastructure, in which infrastructure could include housing, things like that, schools, and so forth. And then the other barriers we see are related to data. So I think we can work with Indigenous organizations and help advance the case for economic reconciliation and try to address some of the barriers to economic inclusion that exist at the moment.
The Bank of Canada sets interest rates, which have been on the rise. We've been warned for quite some time there might be an impending inflation or a recession. Inflation is costing us more money for food, gas, and everything else. This is a hardship for people living in poverty. Can the Bank of Canada help fix that?
Well, the Bank of Canada is committed to our inflation target of 2%. So monetary policy over the next 2 to 3 years is going to be geared towards getting inflation back to our 2% target. So that's important for us. I mean, most of the inflation we're seeing now is really globally generated. So we see that higher commodity prices are flowing into higher gasoline prices. And obviously the Ukraine war has caused prices of various grains to rise, and that's showing up in the higher prices for agricultural products that people are buying in the supermarket. So a lot of the inflation we're seeing now is really globally driven, but there is a component that's domestically sourced, that the Canadian economy is moving into a situation of excess demand. There is demand pressure in the Canadian economy, and that's what monetary policy is geared at addressing.
Mr. Schembri, we'll have to leave it there, but appreciate you taking some time for us here today.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for taking the time with me today.